All right, guys, welcome back to Always Moving Forward. This has been such an amazing week. We've had some, just amazing guests that's been on, and then we're, seeing a lot of traction on our website, our YouTube channel, where we've are starting to see a lot of subscribers and a lot of people coming in and watching the show. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. With that said, remember just hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, so we can continue to share our stories and our journeys with our audience, and keep getting these amazing guests to come on. So, speaking of that, I have another amazing guest who has such a powerful story. This is going to be probably one of the most emotional and toughest shows I've done since I've been doing this show. So I want to introduce to you Elizabeth Gerald.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing, Elizabeth?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you on the show.
Mhm.
I know that you did an interview with my friend Anastasia Verkos for the Verkos Show.
Yep, yep,
And
I sure did.
she told me, about you and your story, and
Hmm.
it's just a powerful story. And so
Thank you.
have you to come on and share that with with our audience,
Mhm.
and how the people get to know you, and kind of what you're doing now, so we
Right.
can get that message out. So
Okay.
so we're gonna jump into it. So let's first I want to learn a little bit about you. So we kind of
Okay.
want to start from the beginning. So kind of tell us like where you were born and raised, and kind of what life was like growing up.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gerald. I'm from Chicago Heights, Illinois. That's where I was born in St. James Hospital. Um, I'm a regular mom, an aunt, a sister, a wife, a daughter, and just all the above.
Okay, well, to tell us a little bit about you growing up. What was life like for you?
Um, Life was fine. Just a regular growing up as a child. When we were younger, we lived in Moments, which was kind of like rural area. Um, Nothing special, just a regular, childhood. I liked to do things all other teenage kids like to do, or as a kid, cook, baking, you know, hung out with family because I'm the youngest. So, all my older siblings were very protective of me. So.
Well, cool. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
On my mother's side, it was five of us, and on my father's side, on my mother's side, I'm child five, and on my dad's side, I'm child seven.
Oh, okay. So
Hmm.
you were part of a large family. So okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of the same way. I have about seven brothers and sisters as well. So
Okay.
yeah, a lot of them I didn't meet until actually after I got older. I found out I had like a bunch of half brothers and sisters. But
Wow. Now I've known all my brothers and sisters my whole life. I knew all my mother's kids, and then I knew all my father's kids. So I've known all my siblings my whole life.
wow, that's cool.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're gonna kind of go into a little bit about your story. So you have you have two kids, right? Or do you have more?
No, it was three boys and a girl altogether.
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, and then so you have three boys and a girl. What age range are they?
My oldest son is 30, 24, and 20. My 20-year-old has severe hydrocephalus and cerebral palsy. And then I also have my granddaughter who I've raised since she was 3 days old, and she's 17.
Okay. Wow. So you still have your hands full.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just her. She's a senior this year, and she's going off to college. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I just had two of my kids already graduated. I got one left to go.
Hmm.
She started school yesterday, so
Hmm.
started. So
Yeah,
yeah.
she starts her senior year on the 22nd.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hmm.
Just, yeah. I'm ready to get all of them out and get them
I know.
graduated.
Right, right.
So let's talk about your daughter.
Okay.
I want to kind of go into kind of with the stories, but I want to kind of break it down because I want people to really understand, the journey, your journey,
Hmm.
and all the things that that your daughter and you had to go through,
Hmm.
so they get the the full effect. And I really want to do justice by the story as well.
Okay.
So let's talk about. So what was your daughter's name?
Marcy Gerald.
Marcy Gerald. Okay.
Hmm.
And so tell us a little bit about Marcy. As her in her younger years and kind of her growing up.
Well, Marcy was a regular kid growing up. She was a regular, youth, and but as she became a teenager, she was a regular teen girl. She was on the honor roll. She liked to bake, liked to cook, liked to hang out with her friends. They would go to the show. Just regular stuff little teenage girls would do. Um, she was a very kind-hearted person. We would volunteer to feed the homeless. She was a state finalist for the preteens. Um, just an all-around regular teenage girl. No problems. Just a regular teenage girl. Um, and she was an honor roll student. She wanted to go to Harvard Law to become a
Oh,
lawyer, and then one day a Supreme Court justice.
oh wow,
Hmm.
that's awesome. That was a
Hmm.
great goal to have. So
Hmm.
we're going to go and kind of talk about what ended up happening with her. Um,
Hmm.
so let's kind of go into her story of what happened, and then I kind of want to break this down to I would say three different parts, but I want to talk about kind of what happened to her, and then we'll talk about um, the guy
Okay.
who the guy himself,
Okay.
and
Aftermath. Okay.
and then what happened. Okay, so
Okay.
let's kind of talk about what happened to Marcy.
Um, well, as she was at age 14, she was brutally sexually assaulted by a person. She was 14 and maybe 100 pounds. He was, I think, almost 30, like 28, 29, somewhere up in there. And this guy was like 300 pounds. He waited and, I don't know the day he seen her or how, but when he seen her, he watched her, and when he caught her alone, he attacked her. Um, and, that forever changed our lives. The rape was so bad that she couldn't even walk for a couple of days because her ovaries and uterus was swollen to the point where she couldn't walk. Um, she became severely depressed, PTSD, depression. She was afraid of males. She didn't want to go outside anymore. And what essentially ended up happening was the school district had to put her in a therapeutic school because she's afraid to go. It was an all girls school. She still had to keep her grades up. The guy who did the assault, he was captured right away because he hadn't too long been out of jail, so they were able to get his DNA from her and get him right away. And he admitted to everything he did. But the thing was, he just tried to play crazy, or I don't know. He made it seem like he really didn't understand what he was doing or something, and he knew what he was doing. But he had been in jail, so he probably knew what to say. I did get her counseling because everybody always asks me, "Do I get her counseling?" She had a great doctor, Dr. Summer Matheson. I would refer her to anybody.
Right,
Um, but there's no magic pills they can give. There's no magic wand. She was still afraid of males because as we would go to court, he would turn around and he would wink and smile, and he just never had any type of remorse. It was always like a
right.
big joke to him. So that's what it was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, she was 14 years old, right? I mean, she was.
Hmm.
You know, I just can't imagine. As a dad, that would piss me off. I mean, as a
Right,
dad, it
right,
would infuriate me. And
right.
if that happened to my daughter, I'd be in jail too. he probably
Hmm.
he would have never made it
Right.
to the court.
Hmm.
Because us dads, we're just like way overprotective with that, especially
Right.
with our daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't imagine, all the stuff that he put her through. Um,
Right.
that's just tough. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, I kind of want to talk about this guy too, because this guy had a history. I mean, he was let out of jail, right? I mean,
Yeah, he was supposed to register at a halfway house, but he just didn't. He was able to go on notice because his parole officer had so many other parole. I think they have way too many parole. I think one parole officer may have too many other parolees, and sometimes they one person is able to, I guess you say, can get go unnoticed for a while. I mean, eventually he would have figured it out, but he was unable to go undetected because his parole officer hadn't even realized that he had registered yet. Um, he's from the south suburbs, the guy was, so he was just looking in areas that he could probably I guess that really wouldn't have been expecting it in, you know what I'm saying?
right. And I
Hmm.
agree with you. I think that, a lot of these departments, like the pro offices, so
Hmm.
overwhelmed with cases that, you have
Hmm.
people like, like this guy who, um, you know, either, I don't say circumvent the city, but they go undetected. They're able to get away with
Right,
more
right, right.
because, you know, the parole officers are so taxed, and
Hmm.
to me, that's a major problem, especially when
Right.
guys like this who
Hmm.
are known,
Right,
for
right.
the sexual behavior and, um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Just I have a bachelor in criminal justice, so stuff like this just really,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it just takes me off, to know that, yeah, what how
Right,
the
right,
system,
right, right.
and
Hmm.
the way that, it's just tough right now, especially, with
Hmm.
these places defunding, the departments. They're even, uh,
Hmm.
making it worse, where they're tying the department's hands even more. And then you got
Right.
just a handful of people who are trying to
Hmm.
handle such
Hmm.
caseload, and, it's,
Right. And then
and
I
for me,
know
oh, go ahead.
one of the things that's really bad right now is that a lot of, because of COVID and overcrowding, that with all these laws that are changing, they're making it's like the people who are being let out on these lenient laws, they get out, they shoot somebody and ended up going right back to jail, or they get
Right,
out, sexually assault somebody and go back out. It's like they're
right,
letting high level inmates out, and they come out and commit a more heinous crime than they were in there for and go right back. So, even though they're trying to change the laws and the criminal justice, they really have to reform it into a way, you know, repeat offenders should not be allowed to just come out. And I'm not saying people can't change, but after the
right,
third or fourth time, they're not going to change.
right,
So what's happening now is what I see a lot of. I'm seeing more domestic violence. I'm seeing more shootings. I'm seeing more sexual assaults because they're steady letting these people out, and they're committing these crimes, and they're worse, and then they go right back with an extra crime that they're facing, plus the one that they were in there before. And then you have people who do low level crimes, or just a regular, maybe drug offense crimes, or maybe selling weed or something. They're still in jail, and they're letting murderers and rapists out. I just don't get it. It's like a backwards thing that they're doing right now.
right.
And I'm
And
not saying, and I'm gonna say this: everybody who's in jail for rape maybe didn't rape, but it might have been cases where the girl might have been 16, the boy might have been 17, or
right,
maybe somebody might have lied about their age. And then you do have cases where people lie, get mad, and say, "Oh, he raped me," and then try to drop the charges, and then try to try and drop. But people who are violently and constantly do stuff, they should not be allowed. It just shouldn't be.
right. And this guy has a history. I mean, he's already had a
Right,
history. You know,
right.
yeah, to me, and I agree with you. I think that, um, first of all, he shouldn't have been let out. That's my
Mm-mm.
opinion. He should never have
No,
been let out.
no.
Second of all, if you're going to let somebody like that out, that's the people that you, of anybody, should be keeping track of.
Exactly.
That's the ones
Right.
that you should be watching, and that should not be falling through the cracks.
Right. And the crazy thing is, after we go to court, I find out that it's not even just him. His father had was a sex offender. His brother was a sex offender. His sister lost her kids to the state for having her son perform oral sex on her. So it's
Wow.
like a family affair or something. So, and they were saying that he had a low IQ and he was MR, which stood for mentally retarded. And they
Yeah.
come up with all these names and labels
Right.
to try to excuse people, but when it's their child, it's a whole different story.
Right. So, and
Hmm.
how old was this guy?
He was almost 30.
So 30 years old.
Like,
Yeah.
right,
And so, I mean, that's, I understand some, like what you're talking about with, maybe a 17-year-old with a 16-year-old, I mean,
right.
getting mad, but you got a 30-year-old man who's a known sex offender,
Hmm.
who harms a child. And that's another thing too. The fact that he did it to a child to me, is even worse.
Right. And the thing is, he's never done it to an adult. They said that, from what I know, he likes girls and boys, and he
Mhm.
likes young kids. Because, the thing is, by him being 300 pounds, a child can't handle him at all. They can't really fight somebody his big off. An adult might have a better chance of fighting with him than a child would.
Right.
So,
I mean, all the
I don't
signs were
know.
there. That's why I don't understand why he wasn't more of a high priority. You know what I mean?
Right,
While he
right.
was out. So what eventually happened to him?
He did go. I mean, he admitted to everything he did. So what essentially happened was we took a plea deal because we got tired of going back and forth to court because it's an ongoing thing. For a rape case, it can go anywhere from 2 to 5 years. For a murder case, it can go anywhere from 2 to 7 years. Um, so we took a plea deal, and he got 10 years in life parole. So they told me that even if he don't register, he will go back, and he won't get out. And they told me not to worry because they say, guys like him and him, they never register, so I don't have to worry about it. But my thing is not that. This guy has all these years to sit up and plan on what he's going to do. So his next child, he may end up just killing him so they can't go and testify against him or something, because he has years, built up. So, I don't know. I just, he should never get out.
He
He
shouldn't have
really
been.
should.
I mean, and that's the other thing too is they make it sound like it should have been, like it's an option to register. That should not.
Right, right,
That's not an option. That's
right,
what is
right.
kept a closer
Hmm.
eye on him, and made sure they knew first of all exactly where he was at all times, because they
Right,
knew the danger he was to society, which
right.
is why it still baffles me why he's even out to
Hmm.
begin with. He should never been
Hmm.
let out, especially with
Right.
all his victims being kids and the
Hmm.
history he had. So he
Right,
should have been let out. In fact, they let
right,
him. They should have been keeping an eye on this guy.
right. Yeah.
The bare minimum, the bare minimum you guys could
Yeah.
do is force him to
Yep.
register.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
something.
and, and I don't know. And then they try to come up with excuses, and he has MR. It's this. He's childlike, and
Yeah,
they full of BS. Sometimes you have to smile to keep from just crying. You just get to that point. It's just
right.
damned if you do and damned if you don't. But when it's one of their kids, if he gets a judge's child or one of those state's attorneys or public defenders or whoever kid, they're going to try to throw the book at him,
Right.
because
So
he's not going to ever change.
I kind of want to go into what happened after the thing. So
Mhm.
first of all, let's talk about the trial itself. Um, when Marcy had to go through that trial, uh, kind of walk us through that. What was that like for her to have to go back and face this, this monster, and all, and kind of relive what he did, and then the way that he acted in that courthouse.
Well, like I was saying before, he was sitting in front with the because he was locked up, so they would bring him through a door. He would come in there. He had his little county suit on and his handcuffs and the shackles around his feet, and they would sit him in the front, and we would be in the back. But he still could look around and grin and laugh. I mean, it's almost as if he was acting like there was something wrong with him, and it just got to the point where it was just too much. We sit in the back, and I would have to hold my composure because I didn't want my daughter to see me clowning, and it just, I don't know how to even explain it, but I would have to hold my composure to keep her seeing me clown because I had to, be there for her and be strong for her. And you know, he was just acting, I don't know, very bizarre behavior. And then what essentially happened is, like I said, he got too much. So we did ask for I just asked, for a plea deal because we were tired of going. And that's
Right,
when they told him, he accepted it, and he was fine with it. He never tried to fight it or nothing.
right,
Um, everybody had a chance to speak, and when it was his chance to speak, they asked me, "Do you have anything to say?" Because everybody figured that he was going to apologize. We all thought, okay, he's going to apologize and show some sort of remorse. He
right.
told her, he said, "If you wasn't so beautiful, I would have been attracted to you. So you have nobody to blame but yourself."
Wow.
And um, that was
And
it.
I can imagine as a parent, hearing somebody say that, like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay,
Right,
I've lost it.
right,
I would have lost it. I mean, just in, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine, have to sit.
right, right.
Just, wow.
Hmm.
So now, after the trial, what was kind of, let's talk about kind of what Marcy was going through, and then
Um,
what eventually happened.
so after the trial, it was just a lot. I can't even explain the frustration, the anger I had. It just didn't seem real. So, um, I still, like I said, had to hold my composure and, just do what I could to make her comfortable and everything. So, she just spiraled down even more. And what eventually happened was, she died by suicide. She took the bottle of Tramadol the hospital gave her, and the day she decided to do that is, she had I had asked her did she want me to make her anything to eat, and she said no. And
Right,
I kept checking on her, but I was just so irritated because of the trial and everything. So I was doing laundry, going up and downstairs doing laundry to keep my mind, just off of what was trying to keep my mind off of that. And so maybe around 10, she had asked me, "Mom, can you run me some bath water?" So I went upstairs to run her some bath water. She wanted lavender and chamomile oil in it, and I did. I put it in there. And so she sat in the tub for about an hour, and then she washed her hair and everything. Then she put on her pajamas, and she came downstairs maybe between 11, so, or maybe a little bit after midnight. I don't remember the exact time anymore, but I think it was a little bit after midnight. And she gave me a hug and a kiss and said, "I love you, mommy." And I said, "I love you too." And she laid down with me, and she went to sleep, and she just never woke up again.
wow,
Um, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get up and get dressed and do what I had to do, and start my day off and everything. And I said, "Marcy, get up," and nothing happened. And I said, "Marcy, get up," and nothing happened. And so I started screaming for my son because I am visually impaired. I'm actually my vision is -17. A lot of people don't realize it. I screamed for my son. He came downstairs and he looked around the thing and he said, "Mom, call 911." So I called the 911, and they were there maybe a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. They were there pretty quick.
wow,
They laid her on the floor and started CPR and press chest compression. So I ran and washed my face and brushed my teeth. And then I threw on my house shoes, and I heard one of the ambulance paramedics saying, "We have to hurry up and get her to the hospital." I just ran out the door behind them. And what essentially happened, my son came to the door and said, "Mommy, what happened?" I said, "I don't know." Um, we got to the hospital. I jumped out the ambulance because um, they had me right in the front, and it was doctor and the nurses. They started running her towards the back, and I was, I was trying to keep up with them, One of
right,
the nurses grabbed me when she seen I was stumbling trying to keep up with them, and she took me through the emergency room doors, and she sat me by the emergency room door and said, "Let me go see what's going on." And I said, "Okay." And she went back there, and she came back a few minutes later and said, "The doctor needs you to start calling your family." And I said, "Well, um, I don't have a phone. I don't have anything. It's 6 o'clock in the morning." So she said, "Give me some numbers," and I gave her my sister, my nieces, and all their numbers.
right,
So she went and called them, and then she came back and said, "Your payment is on the way." And I said again, "Well, what's wrong with Marcy? Is she okay? Let me know what's going on with my daughter." And she said, "Let me go see what the doctor is saying." And I said, "Okay." And she her, the doctor, and the third person came in, and they took me into this small room, and I'm still saying, "What's wrong with my daughter?" The doctor said, "Mr. Have a seat. I need to talk to you." And at that time, the third person informed me that he was a chaplain, and I'm still saying, "Well, what's wrong with my daughter?" Because none of this is dawning on me that I'm in a private room, and that
right,
there's a chaplain right there. So I ended up saying again, "Well, what's wrong with her? Did she get surgery?" She has one in the hospital, and the nurse came and stood behind me and put her hands right here, and he said, "Mr. This is one of the worst parts of my job." And he said, "In fact, this is the part of my job I hate." And I said, "What's wrong?" And he says, "She expired, and there's nothing else they can do." And it was like I was in the twilight zone, and it was like, this is not real. This is it's just not happening. And I said, "Well, can I see her?" And they said, "Yeah." The nurse said, "Let me go clean her up." And then the nurse came and got me and took me to her. And they said I couldn't hug her, I couldn't kiss her, I couldn't do nothing because she had to have her autopsy. So I could just stand there, and they told me I could stay here until the coroners came and got her. And the coroners got there in like 25 minutes, and they said this never happened. The coroner usually takes hours. And when they asked me to step out the room, and I seen him when he opened up a book and he was writing something down, and then he took this tag thing out and put it on her toe, and he was writing something down. And I'm like, "What is he doing?" And they said, he's writing the numbers down to identify her. And then he asked me her name and her birthday and all that to make sure everything matched up in his books. And um, then when he had this when he got ready to push his card in there, and I seen him unzipping this like burgundy colored bag, and I'm like, "Don't put her in there. What are you doing with that?" And
right.
when I tried to run in there to stop him, they all grabbed me and turned me around, and he put her in there. And by the time I was able to get Lisa turned back around, they were already gone.
I can't,
Um,
as a parent, I can't imagine you know,
um,
how difficult that would
mhm,
be. I mean, how to you because
mhm,
I can imagine, have to go through something like that. And, and then, for the way, all the stuff that she had gone through, that
mhm,
made it to where she felt like, this was her only option. Is just, that just makes me even more infuriated at the guy who did it, and,
mhm.
uh,
And
for me, because I told you, I have, that background in criminal justice. For me, you know, I, I think that because he did what he did, that her death should be added to his sentence because he was
mhm,
the cause of it. You know, so whatever he got in prison just for the the rape itself, to me wouldn't be enough. The
right.
fact he caused her to take her own life afterwards. I feel like that should
And
be
I
that
am working with Senate to pass Marcy's law. They said they can't give him murder, but they can try manslaughter.
right,
So right now we're working on it, and from what I know, Illinois will be one of the first states to pass it. I will be flown to California um, to speak at the school about it, and I've talked to politicians down there. I've talked to the professors. A lot of people down there saying that they're going to do what they can to help it get passed in California also.
right.
So I have a lot of people actually reaching out when this law passed. He's never shown any remorse. He's never nothing.
And was he told about that? I mean, did he?
Yeah, he knows. Oh, he knows. He knows she's gone because once the state's attorney and all them knew they he knows she's gone.
Right.
Man, he just never shown any remorse and never.
So, and that's kind of what I want to go into, now that you talk about is kind of what. Let's talk about Marcy's Law, and first let's. I want to go back. And so, as a mother, what advice would you give other mothers? Who might be facing, who have faced this situation.
Mhm.
What would you tell them?
Um, well, one of the things I do, I guess we'll talk about later, but um, when it comes to rape and after you do your research, sexual assault and suicide and domestic violence, all these things are really high.
Right.
First thing I would say is listen to your child, because there are so many kids that have been. Sometimes it might be the teacher, it might be a neighbor, it might be a relative. And what I find out is that a lot of times the families say no, and they'll take the other person's side over their kids.
Right.
And what happens is the child will spiral down. You have a lot of kids walking around here right now that are messed up, hate or anger and pain because they were touched and never got any justice and stuff. You have suicide is almost like in fashion now with the teens and young adults. It's just like everybody just wants to die now. It's like, and a lot of it's because of trauma, the trauma of being molested, the trauma of being hurt as a child, and the trauma of never getting any justice. And you know, we have to do right by our kids. They didn't
Right.
ask to come here. We have to listen to them. We have to get them help. There's nothing wrong with going to the doctors or therapy or, as a parent, you got to do everything you can. And I will say, I did everything in my power. I got her to the doctor. I got her, we put her in a therapeutic school. And, with her father, and I'm going to go back and explain that he passed away in 2010. I lost my stepson, which is their brother. He was murdered in 2008. So you have two choices. You either get out and do something, or you grieve yourself to death. My husband grieved himself to death and started drinking to the point he died 2 years after he buried his son. So I went through this pretty much by myself. So in 2010, my husband died. 2014, my daughter was raped. 2015, she died. So I did everything I could, but it was the trial that was too much. And so one of the things I would like to do is have it where the victims don't have to be in a courtroom with the people who are the perpetrators. You know how, like for federal cases, how they have them in a glass, behind the glass, and the victims don't have to be there.
Right.
I think that should be for especially young people, murdered victims, rape victims, sexual, domestic violence, because that's why a lot of people don't even report this stuff because they're afraid to go to court and, they're afraid of what's going to happen. So that's one of the things I think, would help more people come forward if they didn't have to see their assailant or a person who hurt them right there
Right.
in front of them.
And I agree with that too.
Um,
Because he kept looking back at her and smiling, and
mhm. And
and
then
so,
tell her it's her fault. He did what he did. It was just too much. And never shown any remorse. And I hear so many people saying, "Well, I'd have kicked him. I'd have gone up in the courtroom and did it." We're in a courtroom. There's guards everywhere. There are police everywhere. It's not. It's easier said than done. This is not TV. You can't just carry a gun in the courthouse. There are metal detectors
right,
everywhere. So if I had a
right,
gun in there, and then she's right there. I still had her and my other kids. So if I did something and perhaps did get to him, then I'd be in jail, and
right,
he probably would have been free, and then my kids wouldn't have had me.
right,
Um, I did what I had to do as far as what was best for them, and it's times I wanted to just get up and go choke them, but I held my composure because I didn't want to get myself in no trouble, and I end up in handcuffs, and then he's able to find some way. Well, she hit him, she did this, and sometimes I just wanted him to go to jail. I wanted justice. Um, and this is not TV. You can't just walk in there. He's surrounded by guards and stuff, so I couldn't
right.
have got to him even if I wanted to.
And
So I
he's
tell people that.
people who do. I mean, they get stopped immediately. They don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So After my daughter's death, I started MJG Movement, which is my 501c non for profit.
Right.
And with that is I have a group of doctors I work with, and I refer people who reach out to me for therapy and counseling. So we do suicide prevention. I help sexual assault victims, domestic violence victims. We've actually had sex trafficking victims reach out. We feed the homeless. I'm in the process of opening up safe houses for our families. We help find housing. We go to court if they need us to go to court. We help get protection or orders of protection.
Right.
Each person is different. Each client is different. So each client may need something different. And so what we do is with that, and with my safe houses, we will let the people who have nowhere to go or who are in maybe domestic violence or something trying to get with an abuser, they will come there, they will stay. We will help them get some kind of training. We will have like people from different trades, maybe barbers, beauticians, bricklayers, painters, plumbers, electricians. Some of the celebrities I know have them come out. Some of the artists I know have them come out and teach them how to get in those perspective fields and maybe whatever field that person chooses. Like if the person said they want to be a beautician, we'll send them to beauty school.
Right.
And then once they complete beauty school, we'll help them get like maybe a housing. Most of them will probably need like low income housing, and I
Right.
actually work with people who can with low income housing organizations like Section 8 and the different low income housing. I've actually partnered with them, so I will help them try to get a house or a low income apartment or something. I know organizations that donate cars that I work with. We will help them with food and whatever they need to help them become productive after they leave the safe house.
Right.
Um, that's one of the things. And then I also have an LLC, which is Marcy's Marvels. I have comic book coloring books, children books. I have my makeup. I actually just did my documentary. It broke records. It got over 48,000 views within a couple of weeks on Tubi.
Wow.
So I know that it'll be on like Netflix and I think Amazon Prime. They'll be taking it up. My comic books, I'm working, getting it out to be. I've been working with people at Marvel to get it out. And then at Lifetime, I'm actually working with someone with Lifetime to do a movie.
Right.
So her death is not going in vain. I'm keeping her legacy alive in the best way I can, and I'm also helping people. I mean, I get tons of messages saying thank you. I heard you on TV, or well, I saw you on TV, or heard you on the radio. Thanks for saving my life.
Right.
I get so many letters telling me that thank you for what I'm doing because I'm helping them. I'm encouraging people, and that's really the end goal. It's just I've helped just to help save one life. It's just you know, a blessing to me. But to
Right.
get the outpour of support I've been getting, it's just amazing.
And that's one of the things I want to be able to do with our show too, is help
Hmm.
people, with Marcy's Law. What can we do to help you, me and my audience do to help you pass, get Marcy's Law not just passed in Illinois and in California. That should be throughout the whole United
Hmm.
States. I mean,
Hmm.
so that needs to be like, you know,
Hmm.
put down, everywhere.
What
So
I can do is when we get off of here, I can send you some of the politicians' names and maybe just keep getting it out there. Keep what even if you have to go to your representatives in your state
right,
and say we want this law passed, and it can be passed because in Minnesota, a young lady committed suicide because her husband was abusing her, and he went to jail because she committed suicide. And then in Missouri, a family employer got arrested. I think it was at McDonald's or Wendy's or something, but he was bullying and taunting his employee to the point where he committed suicide. So that
right,
person, so two different states have arrested people for
right.
this thing, so it can be done. We just got to keep pushing for it.
So tell us a little bit about Marx's law. So what are some of the things that you have in there that you're trying to implement? So we know
Well,
you have a two.
one of the things I was saying is like where the person will have to be behind glass, like they do a
Right,
federal, so the victims don't have to be in the courtroom.
right,
Have more advocates or somebody that can help, so they don't have to be there.
Right.
I want a person, the person, even if they can't be charged with like murder or first degree murder, if it's only manslaughter, then we go for manslaughter.
Right.
They should be charged with something. If it's for
Right. Right.
manslaughter plus whatever they're going to get for the rape or the domestic violence or whatever, they, add that on to it to make their sentence, more lengthy. Look at how they're doing with R. Kelly. He's gonna, I don't think he's gonna ever get out. If he does get out, he's gonna be old.
Right.
Do that. If they have to just make all these federal cases or something, do something.
Right.
So those are the things that really is in Marcy's law, because he shouldn't have been let out. He should have had some kind of, I guess, like house arrest, them electronic bans they put on you. He should have had something.
No,
They
I
should,
fully.
the thing is, I guess when you get out of jail, they give you either a bus card or the bus fare to get to Chicago. And then, he had the address and where he's supposed to went, and he had I don't know if they give you bus fare or a card or something to get to Chicago. But
Right.
instead of getting off in Chicago, he kept on to the suburbs.
Right.
So they should have it where if they're going to a halfway house, have a van pick them up, have a bus, a van or something pick them up and have them put them monitors on his legs and
Right.
get them make sure they in there, make sure they register. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No,
I
I
don't,
fully agree. Yeah. I mean, that's the bare minimum they could have done is put
right.
him in the pen, make sure he registered, and make sure he got to the place he was supposed to be. And
Hmm.
that's bare minimum. In my in my mind,
Right.
that's a. I
Hmm.
mean, so I fully agree with that. And
Right.
there's some of the stuff I've done. I've had a chance to sit down with some of the U.S. senators and politicians here in Texas. So um, I would love to take that and share that with some of the people that
Okay.
I know out here. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely send that to me, and
Hmm.
then we could post that information up too, where our audience could see it too and can learn
Okay.
a little more about the bill. Because the more people who are advocating for it,
Hmm.
and it makes it easier for our
Hmm.
politicians.
And if you
So
actually Google Marcy Gerald, which is Marcie, it'll come up. It'll say activist Elizabeth Gerald spoke in front of Congress. That whole
okay,
thing will come up. A lot of articles will come up that I've done. I've been in almost every magazine and everything, talking about her and everything. But and I'll send you that too. I'll send you once we get off of here. I'll inbox you all that.
okay, cool, and I'll make sure to link that with our interview as well.
Okay.
So if people come
Hmm.
through, they'll see that. And
Okay.
then the other program that you have, for the safe houses, and you said it's the
MJG movement.
MJG movement. Okay,
Hmm.
so we'll also post about that, and with the MJG movement. Um, the other thing I want to do is be able to have my audience help you with that.
Hmm.
Getting resources that you need. You were talking
Hmm.
about to pair people up with like actors and beauticians or what
Hmm.
people of different industries to help them.
Hmm.
And with the people that I get to interview, I know that there's a lot of them would jump to be able to do something like that. So
Okay.
yeah, and then anybody in my audience who's watching who wants to be a part of that, and donate time or resources or whatever. Um, I wanted them to be able to reach out to you as well.
Okay.
We want to make this a movement. I mean, we want this to be
Right.
out and
Right.
not
And I'm gonna just say this. Even I know people like agents like non for profits like BLM make it hard for people like me. I know Patrice Coros. Me and her, have bumped heads a couple of times because with them they would come running when it was a police shooting. And one thing that they cause a lot of separation. I'm not going to just say it's her, but a lot of them, even Tamika and them. And it's not just me. A lot of the parents say this. So when George Floyd happened, BLM summoned, asked all of us mothers to come stand in solidarity. And I know all of the mothers. I know Trayvon's mom's mom. I know Sandra Bland's mom. I mean, I know all of them. We all know we're mothers. We all grieving.
right.
And so when George Floyd happened, we all went down to Minneapolis to stand in solidarity, and that's when I started having other mothers tell me about the high profile versus low profile. And
Right.
I was like, and they were saying how high profile moms were treated better. So like Trayvon's mom and Sandra Bland's mom and Michael's, Tamir
Right.
Rice, because they had more media, they're treated better than the mothers who have no media.
Right.
And I'm thinking that's so inhumane because we all hurt, we all grieve the same.
Right.
And I seen them arguing, and it got to the point where I seen mothers crying and arguing and really upset with one another. And I kind of just had to back away and walk away from it. But they cause a lot of separation within the mothers, where the mothers who should have a sistership, they don't even like each other. They cuss each other out because of BLM. And then, like with Patrice Currow, she became a millionaire off of people's pain. I'm out I do more than she do, and I don't even have like the organizations and stuff back me like she did it. And
Right.
I'm the one out there, and I do a hell of a lot more. And and I don't ask, and I can send you pictures where, July 20th made 7 years my daughter's been gone, but I fed and stuff over 1,000 people
Right.
for her. And you didn't see me out here and clowning and stuff. So I know a lot of times people say, I don't want to be bothered. It's another one of those. That's just not me. And anybody who wants to show, I take pictures. I show everything that I do. I always have. I'm just not out there talking about BLM. And I reach out to all of the mothers.
Right.
I got a call from Channel 4 News, Miss Phillips, and about the family who was murdered in California. So when I say, and they were in a car crash, so I reach out and people reach out. I help all the mothers. And not just suicide, not just police shooting, because the pain is the same. Our kids are not coming back, and that's what it's all about. It's us getting a sistership, brothership, a familyship, and we should just learn how to spread love and kindness to everybody, because you just never know what a person is going through.
Right.
So I'm that person that do that. I believe in spreading love and kindness with everybody, and if I can help anybody, I do. And I had a mom who went through domestic violence and who was beat with a 2x4 with nails in it. And she texted me, "Hey, I got my place. We need food? We need this. We need that. And I can send you that." And you know what? Everything she asked for, we got it for her. And I did that. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not just saying I do something, but I just let people to know that I'm
Right.
not, BLM. I don't roll like them. You'll never hear nobody saying that, I got millions from their, child's pain or nothing, and didn't do nothing. I really am out there doing it.
And I appreciate what you're doing, because what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, it's needed, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough job, and
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, that's the problem I had with BLM, is that, I'm from right outside Chicago, so I
Mm-hmm.
know the violence and how things are there, and
Mm-hmm.
outside of, my show and, the company I have, I do a lot of street ministry. I go into,
Okay.
there are different neighborhoods, and we teach leadership classes, and so,
Mm-hmm.
um, one of the things that always frustrated me is that, I go into the, like I go into these, to the neighborhoods, because it's kind of where I
Mm-hmm.
grew up, and that's where my heart is and my passion is,
Right. Right. Right.
just working with these kids and helping these kids
Mm-hmm.
realize that they have a future.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not one time have I been out there, have I seen anybody from Black Lives, Matter.
No, they don't. They don't come. Only time they come is when media is there. And once
Right.
the media is gone, they're not there. A lot of the parents who they've gotten money from are still homeless. A lot
Right.
of those families are still struggling. Never got a dime from them. And then what they do is they'll tell you, like with me, what they told me is that the money they got for the event they did for me, it went towards decoration. So decorations, and you never know how much they get because it goes to their account. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much they got for
It doesn't need to go towards decorations. It needs to go to the program.
yeah, the event they did now with my daughter, they said that the money they got, the donations that they got from me went towards decorations and the venue and all that stuff, paying for the people to come out, the entertainment. So I don't know how much money they got really, because they don't tell you. You just know that they get money, and that's it. That's all.
So,
So I don't know how
and
much they get.
it's, if you're gonna give yourself that name, Black Lives Matter, then, you know, to me, all Black lives should matter, and I don't feel like
Mhm.
that, you know.
Mhm.
So and I don't want to go off on like a tangent or anything about it, but but yeah, I understand where you're coming from, with that,
Mhm.
and that's why. My heart goes out
Thank
um,
you.
to you and what you're doing, and why I
Hmm.
want to, be a part of helping you get your message
Okay.
out there. And
And I'm
you know,
gonna send you my flyer because my next event, I'm actually partnering with, I think it's called the DJ Fleets of Illinois, but they're all over. The Fleet DJs are all over in every state. I'm partnering with them, the celebrity boxing TV show, um, and a few other organizations. And we're getting ready to do. We're going to give out over, maybe as many turkeys. We're right now going to give away 200 turkeys up for Thanksgiving and boxes food. But we're going to do Christmas around the world, which means
oh,
we're doing Illinois, we're doing Indiana, we're doing Florida. I know Florida, Georgia, Virginia. Um, I'm not sure what other states that have asked us to join us, but
right,
we're going to be getting toys and stuff to all these different states. We're going to start shipping stuff out, you know, um,
right,
maybe October, November, shipping stuff out to these other states to start preparing to help all
okay,
these other kids and stuff in these other states. And then after that, we're doing a really big mental health. So they want me to come speak at the school in California. We're trying to see if they'll let me come speak in May because that's mental health month. If they let me come speak in May, then what we'll do is we'll have like a celebrity basketball team come
okay,
in,
cool,
and it'll be for charity, mental health, and then we'll have some artists come out, like Chance. He's big into mental health. You know, Master P, he has a basketball team, and Tiny has a basketball team. So we're going to see if they'll, let their teams go against each other,
right,
and just have a really nice thing, a really nice panel of doctors and everything. So
wow,
we do a lot of giving back. So if God willing, we're going to do both, but hopefully I can do the mental health in May. But Christmas around the world is going to be just, amazing.
cool. Yeah, sounds like it's
Hmm.
gonna be great. So,
Hmm.
and that's the other thing too is as you progress through this and you're able to
Hmm.
get things up, I definitely want you to come back and promote some of this stuff so that we can get
Hmm.
word out to people. Make sure that we put
Hmm.
it for you.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
but yeah,
Hmm.
we want to do everything we can to help you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, okay, so do you have any social media links that you would like to share with us that people who
You
want to
want to
reach out
focus?
to you, for
Do
people
I?
who want to reach out to you, that can contact you?
Yeah, I will inbox you everything.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
But if they want to contact me on Facebook, I'm Elizabeth Gerald, GERALDTF on Facebook, and it
okay,
has like a little comic book picture, and then it's MJG Movement page on Facebook and MJG Movement on Twitter, and then I think it's Marcy's Movement on IG because I had to get a whole new page.
okay, all right, cool. And I'll make sure to post all that with the interview, so that everybody.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll send you everything to your inbox.
Okay, cool. All right.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show and and
Thank
sharing
you.
your story. I mean, like I said,
Hmm.
my heart goes out to you, and at the same time, you're still an inspiration because you're all the stuff you're doing, how you're handling this and all these, the way you've been with the situation around
Hmm.
and other
Hmm.
people. That's inspiring,
Hmm.
encouraging, So, thank you so much. You
Hmm.
know, we'll
Hmm.
help promote this stuff as well. Um,
Thank you.
you know, and do whatever we can to help you because I want to see you be
Thank you.
successful being there.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so
Hmm.
much for being on the show.
Okay, thank you for having me.
All right. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Just remember, you guys are uniquely designed with a purpose and always keep moving forward. And before I end the show, I just want you guys to make sure that once the interview is uploaded, please check the bottom of this and look at all the different links and make sure that you get involved and help, Elizabeth with this. This is something that I think is really important. So thank you guys. All right, you guys have a good night. Peace. Thank you.